Engineer 775 ready to take the gnomes and the owls off the grid. So what do we have here? We have a little water feature. It's a little spring. You can see this pipe is just trickling in, but then you see all this, you see the water just dripping down here, and there's an overflow. So what I'm going to do is try to not kill these cedars, but I'm going to dig all this out of here and put a buried submersible tank, spherical tanks. First time I've used one. And then there I'm going to pipe the water into the spherical tank, and then I'm going to get the water back out in the same overflow. I'm going to put a submersible pump in it, and we got a lot of power lines to contend. We see these markings, so I'm going to come out of this. This whole area is going to change, and we're going to get the water around this driveway and into the house. This is all part of a off-the-grid hybrid GT500 Magnum system. We've done a couple. This is the first one where I've kind of incorporated it with a spring. We're going to have the spring, and then we've added the geyser heat pump water heater to this too, so it'll allow them to have a hot shower off their solar system. I'm going to take you up on the roof and show you what we're doing. This is this project had a regular asphalt, well, the house did have an asphalt shingle roof, so that's kind of been our delay, where we've been waiting on the roofers to finish up. And old Abraham's putting the rails on. I'm going to go up there and show it to you. So we found trying a new company. We've used S5 clamps. We're using this company called Ace. I'll show you those up close. And we're going to have 8 panels on this side of the roof and 6 on the other. 14 290 watt REC modules here, and there'll be let's see, 7 microinverters feeding the critical loads panel, and in a grid down situation they'll be used for battery charging. So let me take you up on the roof. All right, we're up on the roof and showing you what we've done. Just getting started. This is day 1 on this project, kind of figuring things out, where things are going to go. The conduit's been run up, and that's Abraham's getting our feed to our J-box, snap and rack J-box for the GT500s, which will be behind these 14 panels. There'll be 8 on this side and 6 on this side of the roof. It gives us a south is kind of like that, so it's kind of a funky setup, but it was better. It's the best we could do in this situation, and we had them take some trees down that were directly in front of this house and roof section, so we should be good. We were baking today, so we know that there's good sun here. Pathfinder says it's fine, and the chimney will not shade this side, so we're going to get a little bit. We have more sun on this southwestern side, so we put 8 panels here and 6 on the southeastern side. It'll make for a nice off-grid battery charging, as well as everyday grid tie feedback. So net metering, that's what I was trying to say. So it's kind of nice looking, I think. I like this roof better. I'm not allowed on the regular corrugated 5V, whatever you call it. They call me crumple stillskin, and all I do is smash the ribs. But I like this standing seam. I can actually seam crusher. So, not crushing any seams today. I'd have to really be heavy to crush these seams. I'm going to be calling you seam stomper. So, all right. We'll get the panels up here tomorrow. Abraham said they're going to be up here today, but I think we're going to do those tomorrow.
Do your crow hop. Good crow.
They just caught something, so they were celebrating.
Yeah, we're really safe today, Bob. Yeah, we're playing it safe. And then you put this pipe in.
These guys are Amish wannabes right there.
Amish bees.
They are looking pretty Amish right now. Okay, down in the mechanical room, again using our go-to standard Magnum 4448 PAE off-grid inverter. AC coupled now with the GT500s. A circuit here for the MagWeb, the portal that allows you to monitor and see what your solar array is producing. I think they're making some improvements to that where you can actually get on a portal, web portal, and check it from anywhere. Not quite there yet from what I gather. We're using the solar AGMs. Again, the Trojan SAGMs, 48 volt, 375 amp hours. So we're in good shape day one. Copperhead Electric's just been boogieing.
Hey, hey, hey!
So, but we're wrapping up day one. Very, very productive day. Thanks to Larry. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any day.
All right, we're waiting on battery cables, and well, we're gonna focus on getting the solar on the roof tomorrow, day two. But we did really, really good today. All right, you saw the beginning of this. We're gonna go ahead and drain this spring water feature in preparation for the big mess. We're gonna dig this out, and I'm gonna try to dry it out. And this will give me an idea of how much water we actually will have.
Yeah, that's some plain water right there. It's that Tennessee mountain water.
I think that drain is clogged up.
Stick your coat hanger in there.
It's over in the middle to your left.
No, it's gonna take more than that. Where's that fish tape at? Get a fish tape. You need to stick a fish tape up in there?
It's stinky.
Can I pull that out? I got something for that.
We're taking a little detour from our solar. Stick our hands in some cold water. But we're gonna start digging this out tomorrow with a mini excavator. But in preparation, we're trying to get this thing drained. Just plug.
All right, plug. He's done running.
We gotta drain. Hopefully we don't run over the driveway. Put that plug back in. Yeah, just leave it loose. As loose as catch a thread.
Let it trickle.
Because we're about to overrun the overflow here. There you go. Is it a hole? That's perfect.
I think you're gonna over.
All right, before they cover all of this up with panels, you can see the GT500s, microinverters that we have all tied together. We got to connect the two arrays. So got a piece of rail to bridge that so the wires are out of the sun and protected. So 8 on this side, 6 on this side. It is slightly south is like that way. The reason we did this is for off-grid battery charging. Right, boys?
We're going for it.
We're going for it. So they cut some trees down up there in front, so that's good. Got 6 on this side. What are we doing here? Just about 4 kW. 290 times 14. We're getting it though. The electrical, oh, probably got about another half a day of finishing it up and testing and seeing what you'll run. Okay, in order to get that in here, got Brian back on the job. We're having to dig out their existing little water feature, and we've saved the pipe, so he's about to pull this thing out of there. Look at the size of that salamander. Okay, take it away, Brian.
There's been a bunch of them in there. Spring lizards.
Spring lizards. Oh, a mini excavator is the best tool ever. Always the MVP on the job. You wait till you see the next attachment that's being built for this. You're gonna love it.
It's gonna be patented.
Patented something. Stay tuned. Man, it'd be cool that you do your normal pick. I wonder if we can, where are we gonna put this? You think you can carry that whole thing?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna break it.
Just don't drop it on.
Now I can break it.
All right. And there's our pipe. The venerated pipe. She ain't flowing much, but she's flowing. Whoa, Nelly! One hit. All right, we're making a hole. Hopefully we don't run into some crazy rock.
Ah, that's good.
There's a big frog we just dug up out of the spring. 3 frogs. I wasn't scared to death. Hello, mister. Come on, froggy. Man, there's enough for lunch. All right, we're siphoning out our tank so we can actually install the pump. We got our overflow, everything's working good. And Abraham here is the ticket. He is, there was a little bit of dirt in the bottom, so we're using our siphon as a vacuum and sucking all that nasty stuff out of the bottom. So awesome. It was pretty dirty in there, and we'll do this a couple times, there'll be nothing in there. So we just need to lower the water anyway to be able to work on plumbing our pump in and all that, because I didn't have the pump when we set the tank. So this is even better, being able to siphon out the dirt that we dropped in. Cool. Well, it's gonna be nice. 525 gallons of ice cold spring water. Heading to the house. Okay, getting the Grundfos pump prepped to put in the spring, and we're siphoning the water just to drop it a little bit to help us with plumbing and wiring. But there it is, 525 gallons of beautiful cold spring water, and overflow's working great. And so we're going to put the SQ05 160, see if I can get this thing out of here, to keep the motor really cool. You'll see the intake is here at that screen, and so I put some rubber bumpers. They're just Fernco couplings I cut, and they're gonna sit so that gets the pump off the bottom of the sleeve, so it'll suck water through the sleeve, and as the water basically is being pulled in, it'll pull the water in and keep that motor really cool, instead of just having the motor, when it gets warm, it could get warm, but I doubt it will. This is just a fail safe, a little backup here. It'll force that cold water to go by the motor during pumping, and so that's what we're gonna do, and that'll just be beautiful. Also wanted to have something between the bottom of the motor and the bottom of this tank. I don't want any wear. Even though there's soft start, the pump's gonna vibrate a little bit, and I don't want that over the years wearing on the bottom of that center elevated section of that tank. So the 4-inch PVC will bridge that, and the pump will just sit in there on rubber bumpers. So we got rubber isolators, cold motors, and tank saving sleeve. Just a real simple, cheap solution to keep this thing going forever. Well, wrapping up day 1 on the spring rework. So tank is filling, and we got the overflow tapped into an existing overflow. So we're just wrapping this thing up with the transfer switch. We went through and explained this is a manual transfer switch and how to operate it. Hooked it to their 17,000 watt generator and ran it and charged batteries. So when they're having to do some heavy lifting, like run a heat pump, like we can't run the heat pump, this heat pump off of the solar system, but they can run their generator. If they really want to just take the edge off, either heat or cool their home, they could. And while it's doing that, it could be charging the battery if needed. So they've got backups to backups. And so we're good to go. Another cool Magnum. And that's what we did. That's the inverter, the panels, the microinverters, the size, and the amp hour of the battery bank. Make sure it's labeled and waiting on inspection. All right, if it can help you get a system, this one was fun because it's provided all their infrastructure needs, water, power, and anyway, just let me know. We'll help you out. Okay, just to follow up, I had to come and make an adjustment. The set points were fairly low on this. I wanted to see if I could get by. But I've cranked it up at 10 degrees. So the Nile Systems geyser is heating this up to 130 degrees. At least that's my set point. So 80-gallon water heater, 130 degrees, a lot of hot water for 2 people. Should do the trick. Also adjusted the well pump. Needed a little bit more pressure, so I adjusted the pressure switch up. And so their water system is good to go. And we did a generator test, and so the Magnum hooked up to the generator, started charging the batteries instantly, so we're good. Just a follow-up. Sometimes you just got to come back and make sure the customer's happy with some small subtle adjustments. It's also good to go back and just make sure everything you did is working as you thought it would. So a lot going on here. Just redid their infrastructure, and then the key is balancing it for living on the grid and living off the grid, and I think we got her tuned in. I hope they, I heard rumor that they're not going to make any of these anymore, so I'm hoping that changes. They can't get a the Energy Star rating because they don't hook these to a tank, and Energy Star water heaters are based on tanks, and so they won't give Nile Systems a rating on this, which is such a shame because the whole reason for this was to hook it to any tank, not having to sell it with a tank. I came into this home and hooked it to their existing tank, so they didn't have to spend more money. And anyway, that's a shame, but great product, and it's dehumidified their basement nicely, and they really appreciate that. So like many projects, there's always a challenging battle for space. There's just not enough room at this location to get what we wanted to do. So typically put a bigger bladder tank, but this is going to be fine. It's only 2 people that live here. And so I did a clamped the power usage of the pump that we put in the spring, maxed out at 4.1 amps. And so very, very forgiving to the inverter, and it's going to be a great system. So we ended up plumbing it in with the city. Well, they have city water, and now they're hooked to the spring. So it's just the case of understanding which valves to turn when. And so what we usually do is a commissioning video that I give the customer. We also put, because it's a spring with only, well, it's got 525 gallons, which should be enough. I put in one of the Square D low pressure switches. You've seen these, they have the arm on them. The key to these, well, in any bladder tank, is making sure that your cut-on pressure is about 2 psi when this is completely drained. Our cut-on pressure is 30 psi, so I set the bladder pressure at 28 so that the pump contacts close before the pressure drops off, and then you'd have to manually start it. This is a manual start lever if there's any problems. If there was pipes busted, freezing, whatever, or they forgot to shut something off, and this allows them to save their pump. So the pump has dry protection built into its circuitry, but this is a mechanical solution because that's what I like. I understand a little better. And so it's got some redundancy and backups. We've got double check valves, double low water protection, and we do it in the form of these Square D switches, which are relatively the cheapest low water dry run protection on the market. So that's it. So it's cycling well, 10 gallons a minute, more than they need, more than sufficient. And we'll make sure they understand the valving and what they need to do. But it's pretty patriotic, We're red, white, and blue, and we plumb our stuffs up. I don't know about you. So anyway, All right, then we got our spring. House is on the spring. We're solaring. We got the spring running, and we got the geyser running. So, pretty successful project. We had to do a lot of hand digging. It slowed us down. Today's been a very productive and more rewarding day than digging ditches, but sometimes you just got to do it. All right, and the critical loads panel is full of everything that they need to be able to run here in an off-grid situation. The irony is they had a tornado go through here and they were without power 4 days right before we started the job. So I think they really appreciate the system. So timing was good for us, not so good for them. But I think well, we're going to see how they like it and how they're able to live off of solar. And it's just a lot of times it takes, a couple tests, just turning the power off to the grid and just seeing how things work and making sure everything that you wanted works correctly. So just take some testing. We do a lot on our final day of installation to make sure it's good before we leave. No leaks, everything's set right, everything's working, full tank of hot water, full bladder tank, and then we're off. So if we can help you in any way, because we like to do it all. It's not just about the solar. It's about generators and water and hot water and solar and air conditioning and refrigeration and all sorts of things, cooking and heating, and we'd like to do it all. So if you need help with a complete off-the-grid package that can also work as a grid tie system, we're fine-tuning what we've learned over the last few years. If we can help you, we'd love to. Just let us know. Send me an email. All right, this is Engineer 775 signing off probably for the third or fourth time.